It's always a pleasure to be invited in PGurus. I'm very happy about it. And the customary thing to tell people to subscribe to the channel. Most important. I think it is assumed that you will, you are sure that the audience will subscribe to it. You were mentioning about something like a, auto button type of thing, right?
Yes, yes. So viewers, please click on the bell button that comes on the YouTube videos. That will automatically subscribe you, that way you will be automatically notified of every video that comes online on our site. Remember, we only give you news, no noise, views, and no heightened voices, no high-pitched screams, no hyperbole. The facts as they are. Your time will be well spent on PGurus channel, and we hope to see you there often. Professor RV, let's get back to our topic.
Yeah, right. So, see, this election is something very interesting. 2 or 3 preliminary observations, and it is being held in this, the month of April and May. I think it is the most cruel thing to have done on the voters, as more importantly the candidates also. They are really sweating it out, and in areas like Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and other, it is touching nearly 50 degrees. I think we must relook at this whole thing. One of the reason given is schools are having holidays. They can have booth in schools, and I think that may not be an appropriate reason. We can as well we must have it, I feel, around the winter time or slightly after winter, maybe January, February type of thing.
Also, Professor Ali, before we proceed, sir, I just want to make a couple of quick observations. One is, aren't we having voter fatigue now? Because the 6 weeks seems to be awfully long. Can this not be a shorter period? What is the reason for it to be this long?
The one other reason given is about the security arrangements. The cops have to be moved from one place to another thing. I have a feeling that is too much stretching it. For instance, so far in the 4 phases, except for West Bengal, some of the areas, and maybe 1 or 2 areas in Kashmir, there has not been any, significant amount of what one can call unruliness or violence or anything. One. Second is, I think, is a country like Indonesia, which is reasonably, very large, not necessarily in population, but in terms of thousands of islands actually it has got in terms of, and that has been done in 1 day. But it is a reverse there. They do the election in 1 day, and the counting is going on and on and on. Something like 100+ people have died in counting. That fatigue, that's too much actually. And in India, people argue some 70 people died due to demonetization. So that has not been. So I hope they don't argue that since 100 people have died due to counting the election, the democracy should stop in Indonesia. The point I want to stress is they could do it in 1 day. It's also a really reasonable, volatile country, and they do it, of course, paper balloting. I think we should, extend it beyond a week. Large number, for instance, entire Tamil Nadu was covered in 1 day. It's not very. So it's not such a, what one can call, rocket science. If we pull the socks properly and get the cooperation of all the parties, we could get it done in a week. In which case, I think we should have it around February, March, January, February, in that period actually. Winter is much better. People can, attend meetings or compared to summer. Summer actually, dehydration is so severe actually. So 1 week we can give schools off. There is nothing wrong about it in the month of, February or March. We can tell all the schools, like 1 week we are going to hold it. So, and then compensate it in the summer. So this some of these things I think we are. And then the question is, 5-year term is one time at least you extend it. There is nothing, you constrict it, or so many assemblies have been dissolved much before their full term. Even earlier, the parliament itself, Vajpayee time, was dissolved much before his term. So that's not a impossible task or anything. See, we are used to some British type of thing, so we would like to continue that. and they will go to their summer resort and sit because there was no regular election in British time. So like for instance, from tomorrow onwards, courts are on leave for 1 month. Absolutely no reason why courts should shut down when millions of cases are pending. And we have now, air conditioning, refrigerator, so many things. Judges need not go to Dehradun or, Uti or all those places another. This is another. And you can't talk about it. There will be hue and cry by lawyers, senior advocates, judges. The reason is we are used to so many things. I'm used to potholes and power cuts in Bangalore and water. And if I get regularly water, will I complain? I'm used to living without water, and suddenly daily water is coming. I'm not happy about it. This whole thing is ridiculous. That's a preliminary observation. The election should not cross more than a week. There are other reasons also. Having done over a period of nearly 2 months, now there are so many other, we are an internet connected world and other things. There are so many other type of, so-called quote unquote exit polls are coming in the net, which says that, this party is winning, that party is winning, another thing, which is, the domestic channels have all collected exit poll, but they are supposed to keep it confidential, without announcing it. Only on 19th, last day of the poll, they can come and talk about the exit poll. So much rumors and so much amount of unverified information is floating around. Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
I would like to bring to your attention breaking news. Believe it or not, PGurus is now even having breaking news while having conversations. The Ministry of Home Affairs has just issued notice to Rahul Gandhi on his British citizenship. I wonder why they waited this long, but do you think it is better late than never?
No. This better late than never can never be. It is known to them from 2014. You see, last 10 days before the poll, you want to do everything. You suddenly talk about Ram Mandir, you suddenly talk about this, you suddenly talk about 370, you suddenly talk about, this uniforms. These are, between you and me, more and more these type of things are done. More and more people will be convinced this is only a jumla, rather, gimmick for the election. For instance, Vadra, nothing has happened to him. He is happily going around. And in Delhi, I was told by a senior secretary, he is not, frisked even today. So the situation prior to 2014 and now are similar. Home Ministry what Home Ministry was doing actually, that document, I am sure you are also aware of it, were given to Advani, were given to Home Ministry by none other than the sitting MP, Subramaniam Swamy, and all those back off and other things, background papers collected by so many people in there because of their enthusiasm were all given. Anyhow, this is just a, what one can call, what you may loosely call a stance or a position taken. That's all. There will be a hue and cry that this is, you see, anything you do 1 week before poll will always be perceived as a political victimization. If you had done it in 2014 July, because the whole enthusiasm was abundant, and the entire campaign of 2014 was based on some of these issues. Not that time there might not have been much complaint that you are doing it for vendetta. So you can't be soft for 4 years and suddenly wake up and say no, we have to clean up the system. And no, that it's like like I know some houses where they clean the house like anything before Pongal or before Holi or something. One day in the year, not if you are doing on a regular basis, there is no need for you to worry about it. Okay. Now coming to the poll, this poll is a very interesting poll for the simple reason I'm increasingly seeing it as a major conflict between what are called centrifugal forces and centripetal forces. See, the regional forces are all abundant. Congress decline has been secular in the statistical sense. I'm not talking about so Congress decline has been very secular over a long period of time. Now massive states like Bihar, UP, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, they are not there at all. running into something like 120 to 130 seats, which is very large portion. The decline of Congress, unfortunately, has not been immediately or adequately compensated by the rise of BJP. So in many places, regional forces have taken advantage of this. So what has happened is the regional forces primarily are family-oriented parties like your DMK, Janata Dal, then Mulayam Singh Yadav's party, all these, except of course that Mamata and Mayawati. That is also Mayawati is bringing up her cousin, it appears, nephew, sorry, and Mamata is bringing up her nephews. So this is all, regional parties are all essentially caste-based plus family-based. Now they are criticized because they are dynasties. Obviously, if Karunanidhi has earned some couple of thousands of crores, whom is he going to leave it? Don't tell me he's going to conduct an election within DMK, and whoever wins that election, he will hand him over the key of the Gajana or what? He has to give it to his children. So this fundamental aspect is not understood by many people. See, this more, and all these are in the sense dynasty based, handed over to their children. The decline of Congress is not fully compensated by the rise of BJP. That's one of the major issues actually, all over the country. More so in southern states as well as eastern and northeastern states. So this is a very major challenge in this election, whether again a unifying force. It was earlier Congress. Unfortunately, over a period of time, due to various reasons, it has substantially declined in very many major states. Whether BJP will be able to have that pan-Indian presence, and then because the centrifugal forces are enormously pressurizing, and their their orientation, their look is only for their region or state, sometimes for their community. So I am really interested in knowing the following thing. If the JDS, which is headed in Karnataka by Devagowda, and his son and his grandson is now entering into the fray, if his grandson loses in Mandya, as well as one more loss, possibly of another grandson also, and a substantial amount of losses for JDS, then it would be a turning point in the politics of Karnataka. That is one thing. And over a period of time, JDS may disappear. It will have only a two-party type of a system in Karnataka, similar to that in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan or Gujarat. And not many people are aware that there were strong socialist parties in these states like Gujarat, MP and other things. The first United Front government in 1967 was formed by non-Congress, but primarily belonging to socialist orientation.
Including Jan Sangh and communists came together for that one.
Came together for that. Anyhow, so they are declined. But one important thing, in Indian politics, I am given to understand that Devagowda is trying to have some backdoor negotiation with BJP. That is, in case this government falls, whether his son can continue to be chief minister supported by BJP. Now, this BJP has an uncanny knack of doing wrong things at the right time or right things at the wrong time. Like what you told about issuing notice to what you call Rahul today.
Yes.
That is called right thing at the wrong time. So they may support JDS. One doesn't know, which will be one of the most stupidest political acts, strategy-wise. In the sense, they should actually do the Antim Kriya for JDS. That would be the best thing which they can do. Congress is a much larger political force in Karnataka. There is no way you can try to what one can call eliminate it or remove it. Or JDS is mainly in the belt between this Bangalore and what one can call Mysore. Congress is there in all over the state. So that is one possibility. One is waiting in terms of the defeat. Same thing in Tamil Nadu. By chance that DMK-led front gets something like, say, 15 or 20 or something like that, and the ADMK-led front gets also 15 or 20, that itself will be a big victory for what one can call ADMK-led front. Stalin, because Stalin is introducing his son, who will introduce his grandson, I am sure, sooner or later when he grows up. And so this is also becoming a youth thing. And it has taken, DMK has taken extreme stance actually in terms of anti-Hindu activities, and it is slowly sliding towards the DK party compared to the earlier times. That is also taking place. So the decline of the Stalin-led group will be a very good development in terms of centrifugal forces in Tamil Nadu. Next, you see the UP and Bihar. Bihar, of course, is Lalu, who is convicted, who is in jail, but mostly he is in hospital. He is never called as a convicted politician, whereas the accused ones are predominantly focused by the mainstream media, like your Sadhvi Pragya and other thing. They are accused, but he is convicted. He again has handed over to his sons, two sons. Of course, I think I did mention to you earlier, all these leaders who hand over to their children, they do it to the second one, not to the first one. This is always a very puzzling thing for me, whether they have any doubt about the authenticity of the first child, or God only knows. You take it whether it is Devagowda, whether it is Karunanidhi, whether it is Lalu Yadav, all these people have handed it over to only number two, not to number one. Anyhow, so same thing with Mulayam, who is supposedly having this dementia problem. He's able to see what happens, what happened some 20 years before, not what he ate for breakfast. So that type of, but he is given up to his son, who is aligned again. So whether these centrifugal forces, whether they will also be, importance will be diminished. So this is what is of interest to me, the election. It's not whether Congress, if it were very powerful and very large and very, very democratic, etc., one could have expected them, or one would have wished them to replace these centrifugal forces. But by chance, if these regional grouping, whatever you call it, in terms of federal front or affront or federal affront or any name you give it, if they all come together, it's going to be a terrible time for India in the context of globally what is happening, and it will be totally unstable type of a picture, like in the 90s. 90s, it was unstable, but it had some dominant saner voices at that time. But now that is also missing, because now this Mamata Banerjee or Mayawati has to take over the reins of power in the center. You can imagine the type of chaos it will create. So that is what is of importance. As far as predictions are concerned, everybody is an expert and very difficult to predict. Actually, four phases are over. Still, some seats are getting announced. Can you beat this? We have not yet totally clear how many where people are standing. Yesterday there was some announcement about standing. Delhi is still announced now only. So like that, there are some seats which are still getting announced. In that context, I do not know how the experts are predicting. This is something very interesting. Without knowing who is standing where, how many seats are being captured. The third observation is the urban areas like Bangalore, Chennai and Bombay have fared very badly in terms of voting in the election. The percentages are abysmal actually, hovering around 50, 45 to 50, 50, 51 and other. And all these urban areas, I personally feel, are completely alienated from the Indian Republic. They are not, because one is they see the potholes and broken electricity poles and fallen thing. Other is huge amount of, massive amount of corruption is seen here. Whether it is Bangalore Municipal Council or whether it is Bombay Corporation or whether it is Chennai, all of them are, and no single contractor, no employee of this corporation, no official has been punished for any life term so far in the last 50 years. Periodically it comes. According to me, if all these corporations of the cities, you confiscate the assets of these contractors, councillors, officials, roughly 3 to 4 times India's GDP will be realized. I'm not joking. Huge amount of, and this is being seen by these urban people, and nothing is happening. Bombay, every alternate day, one bridge is falling.
Right.
It is a sort of a sad story actually. And every time they say we will punish the guilty, and he will not, the guilty will not be let loose. And the center says we are closely monitoring the situation. Closely monitoring means they are watching, they are reading the newspapers to find out what is happening. And it's a very, Bombay is supposed to be the commercial capital of the country. And almost all the major companies are headquartered there. It's a shame that, people fall from a bridge and die. This is something, you can die out of 150 things, but never, continuous basis, every alternate day, people are falling from bridge. This is unbelievable, actually. So these are all seen by the urban. Now, why I am telling it? So what is happening is, elite urban is declared unilateral independence. They have got their own apartment complex, water supply from groundwater, electricity from their stored,
generator.
And whenever electricity comes, they capture. And everything is internal. Security is their own private security. They don't depend upon police or anything. So this is what is happening, except crematorium, as I say, that is one thing where they have to come out in order to, otherwise there is a mall inside, schools inside, hospital, everything. So the urban milieu is totally alienated, and they are not part of the this process. You can shout 150 times that urban are useless, they are not. Somebody says if you don't vote you should be punished. Somebody says if you don't vote, your that finger where the ink is kept should be cut off. All these things, nothing will move the urbanite. They are 100% cynical actually about electing any one of these gundas. Most of them are, let's be very clear, dacoits or gundas who are standing, between the alternatives, and you have to choose who is a lean gunda, who is a very bigger one. So the results are, forecast according to me are all mostly pulled out of thin air. They quote all sorts of, theories. One TV commentator says in this constituency, Yadavs constitute 52% of the. Where from we get this data? We have not done caste census after 1931. Let's be
so
very.
It's an imaginative projection of somebody's thoughts.
He goes there. He or his what you call journalist goes to that constituency, get down from a taxi, looks around, and then maybe his taxi driver is a Yadav. The fellow tell chai there is Yadav. So out of 6 people, he met 2 Yadavs. So immediately, pro rata he allocates.
Interpolates it, yeah.
Extrapolate and then get the result. This is a terrible thing. 1931 is the last caste census. We also had a caste census recently, which was done, and then every 72 families are represented by one caste, according to that caste census of 300 million people, 172 million caste. Anyhow, so the wish is different than forecast. Of course, if you ask my wish, I can be upfront. I would like the current NDA government to come with more than 300. But that is not my forecast. And I am very, very hesitant to give forecast. Last time somebody asked me before the assembly election, I told my wish is 3-0, but unfortunately it may be 0-3. I tweeted or something. You should imagine the amount of hate mail and other thing which came to me. People told, you are a useless fellow, you are this, you are that. And I learnt a lesson, actually. It came true, that 0-3 only. And there are solid reasons. If you remember, we had a discussion about it earlier on.
Yes.
So this is where it stands. We have to wait for a couple of more days for these 3 weeks in order to get and I wish the centrifugal forces are defeated and the unity type of forces are. But if you ask me honestly, we require another Sardar Patel today in order to unite India more. And
Well,
maybe the current Prime Minister will be in a position to handle such a situation
well,
if they come back to power.
we may not have a Sardar Patel living today, alive today, but we do have his successor, and we both know who it is. And I'm sure Narendra Modi also knows who it is. And the important point now is, will he choose him to be in the position that he needs to be in? With that question, we'll leave this hangout and we'll be back with more such in-depth discussions. Thank you very much, Professor RV.